Hey, it's Travel Gigolo, and we're just heading home after a trip to the Kruger National Park. What an epic weekend it's been. Check this out. The Kruger National Park has been on my bucket list for years. It's about a 5-hour drive from Johannesburg to the Malelane gate, which is in the southernmost section of the Kruger Park. The most iconic Big 5 nature reserve in South Africa. So we were off really early in the morning, first thing just before sunrise, with the intent of taking a leisurely drive there, but also that we'd have a few hours to move around the park when we actually got there.
Hey, sunrise. Where are we heading?
Kruger. Yay. The drive to the park is pretty straightforward. The roads are really great. There's a lot of places to stop and take a break and have a snack. So you should really try and make a road trip of it. So the Kruger Park's about 200 kilometers in total, north to south. We chose to explore the very southern side of the park, primarily because that's the closest to where we live. So it's also the shortest drive to get there. So a couple of basic tips for going to the Kruger and getting the most out of your visit. So firstly, the best time of year to go is generally in the winter, because then it's quite dry and you can see the wildlife quite clearly, whereas in the summer it's hot and humid and the vegetation gets quite dense, so it's sometimes difficult to see as much animals as you would see in the winter time. But of course, it's great to go there all year round. Upon arrival, entry to the park is pretty straightforward. You need to pay your fees at the gate. There are friendly, efficient staff to help you through that process, and then you're into the park. We're about to enter the Kruger National Park. My first time, looking forward to it. Our first order of business was to set up camp so we could get that behind us and spend the rest of the afternoon exploring the surrounds. The area is really hot and it can be quite humid as well. So if you're camping in the park, you want to get a nice spot with a lot of shade. One of the big reasons for going to the Kruger Park is that it's a Big 5 park. And for the first time ever, I saw the Big 5 in one park on one trip, and it was absolutely fantastic. Seeing leopards to complete the Big 5 has eluded me for many years, and so I was really ecstatic to get a glimpse of a leopard in the park. The habitats change quite a bit, so the environment is quite different from one portion of the park to the next, so I definitely recommend that you take your time to explore the different areas and the different wildlife that you'll come across there. It's important to take your time when you're driving to the park. A lot of the really cool animals, like the big cats, are really well camouflaged, and so if you're driving really quickly, you could miss a really cool sighting. Also, of course, these are wild animals, so you've got to be really careful about how you drive. There are sighting boards at all the main camps and entrances, but there are also online apps you can use to see the most recent sightings. This is good to help you spot stuff that you might otherwise miss, as well as if you're looking for particular types of wildlife. Generally, the best time to see wildlife is early in the morning when it's nice and cool, or later in the afternoon when temperatures start to simmer down again. Probably our best sighting on this trip was a coalition of 5 males that were roaming the southern part of the park, and we saw them just as the sun was setting. It's typically when the big cats are most active, and so that's the time when you're most likely to see the lions. It's rare to see a coalition of 5 large male lions, so this was quite a sighting. The roads in the park are in really good condition. The tar roads are great and the dirt roads are generally very good as well, so you don't need a special vehicle to get around. A normal sedan is sufficient to get around most of the park. If you like bird watching, the Kruger National Park is absolutely a bird watcher's haven. So make sure you go down well equipped, take your bird book, take your binos, make sure you've got your camera set up. There's some really great shots to be had. There is a range of habitats, and so there is a really great diversity of species. Besides seeing birds while you cruise through the park, you can see quite an abundance of different bird species just in your campsite alone. There are numerous options for accommodation in the Kruger Park. Basically, we prefer to camp, but there is something I think to suit almost everybody's preferences. If you're camping, be sure to secure your stuff when you go out exploring, because there is quite a bit of monkey business that goes on. There are well-stocked shops in the park, so you can basically get almost everything that you could reasonably want. So stuff like food and ice and water and firewood, sun protection and. These are all available at fairly reasonable prices. There are also fuel stations, so fuel is quite readily available. If you really want to get something out of the ordinary, then you can drive out of the park to one of the nearby towns as well. Probably the most important tip that I can give is to really just take your time and to experience the entirety of what there is on offer. There's a great diversity of wildlife in the Kruger, and this ranges from birds to reptiles to all kinds of herbivores. So just take your time and really enjoy it. Enjoy the different habitats as well, and of course respect the wildlife and respect the sanctity of this place. Hope you found this informative. Please hit the like button, subscribe, smash the bell, and check out some of my other videos.